Okay. And go ahead and join me in just closing your eyes and placing your hands in your lap with your palms facing up. And so eyes closed. Okay, and take a couple breaths with me just to begin to drop into your body. Inhaling all the way to the top, taking a little pause at the top, and then exhaling all the way out to the bottom. And when you hit the bottom and you feel that urge to take in air again, go ahead and exhale nice and deeply all the way to the top. Pausing at the top and back to your exhale all the way to the bottom. As you do, just begin to relax your shoulders. On the next breath, soften your chest and your belly. Bring your awareness to the weight of your body and wherever your bottom or your legs touch the chair that you're sitting on, or whatever part of you comes in contact with the floor, the surface you're on, and just bring your awareness to that space and allow yourself to melt into whatever holds you. Feeling totally supported, totally held, allowing yourself to be at ease where you are in this moment in time. I invite you to leave everything that you were doing before now to the side for just a little while and let go of any kind of future thinking about what's coming. Letting go of anything that's not happening right now. Come fully into your body to come fully into the present. Big inhale, reaching your arms up overhead and turn your hands clasped inside out to give a nice big stretch. And then shake your hands out as you bring them all the way down beside your body, back into your lap. Shake, shake, shake it. Sometimes you just need to shake it more. Shake your head, shake your shoulders, just shake it all out. Come fully into this moment with me. Join me in the now. Big deep breath. And when you're ready, you can come all the way back and open your eyes. So I love that you're here, and I'm celebrating and acknowledging your decision to be present, for you to show up, to receive. And I'm excited for what we're going to co-create here today. So this is a juicy, packed training. I meant for it to be very simple, and I do always keep it very simple. But that being said, I just created a really big outline. So we'll see what we get through. The main points for today that we're going to cover, and I put a few of these in different posts throughout this week, but the main points that we're going to cover are just beginning with looking at, like we covered last week, what's going on when you're spinning out, what's really happening when you're in fight or flight, when you are disconnected from your sense of self and God, that part of you that can ground and really stabilize. And we looked at how the body gets into a habit of being in just amped up, of being disconnected, of being amped up, of and just what damage that does, what that creates in your life, in your relationships, and in your systems of your body. And so we talked about how to unwind that and unpack that. And I gave you some techniques and tools, which are very simple, on how to ground and get into the here and now. And here I go, admitting people. So I'm going to have a watch on the chat box. I don't know if you guys can see it or not when they pop up, but if I miss it, let me know. This week, what we're talking about today is that next piece of how, it's kind of the next level of how to shift frustration to calm. So in the moments where you're just gritting your teeth, clenching your jaw, clenching your fists, about to boil over, or walking on eggshells, or whatever the situation is, whatever your pattern is, how to quickly shift that and how to do it in the here and now, in the present. So it's a very, very not easy, but simple um, approach to just dissolving feelings in the body. And I'm going to share that with you today. So that will be really, really valuable to you, as well as um, how to be okay no matter what is going on. How to be, that's everyone's goal, right? It's what we all want. We want to be okay despite our circumstance, despite how people around us feel, despite how little sleep we got, or how cranky our kids are or demanding. We want to be okay. We want to know ultimately that we are good no matter what. And that just gives such a deep sense of well-being and calm that affects everything around us. It affects our income, it affects our children's mood, it affects our marriage, it affects all the things. And so we're going to talk about that. And then lastly, the third point for today is what lies on the other side of anxiety, of overwhelm, of frustration? What's on the other side of that? And we'll peek behind the curtain and talk about, like, what is life on the other side when you're living the result of what your heart wants? How does it feel to live in that space? So what does the emotionally healthy family look like? What does it feel like? And really help you to get connected so you can start creating that vision in more concrete terms of what you want. How to be okay no matter what the circumstances are, and how to be out of that fight or flight, like we talked about last week. So we're going to dive into each of those, and it's going to be really fun. And I'm going to give you some easy things you can put into practice in your own life, starting today, starting right now, starting the next time that one of your kids pushes your buttons. You can start utilizing these things right away. So let's begin with, and I want to say hi, Rhonda, because I saw you come in, and tell me if all looks well on your end. Rhonda, we have changed and upgraded Zoom and security and all the things, so that was probably weird coming in, but tell me if all looks fine on your end. Rhonda's been working with me for a long time, so check in with me in the chat, Rhonda. So let's start with what feels like the biggest problem. And this is a question that I'll ask people when we first connect on the call, just to help you get grounded in your now reality. Where are you now? What is not working? What is driving you nuts? Or causing you to question yourself or your existence, or whether you are doing okay as a mother, as a human, as a person, just having your footing. And what I hear and know and feel is happening for so many people now is that we're getting stuck in, like, what's familiar and old, the kind of like the craft that's been sort of circling and cycling through our bodies and minds and hearts since we were kids. But it's just getting louder now, and there is no escape. And so let me close the door. Sorry, there's kitchen noise. Hang on one second, you guys. Forgot to set my boundary. Oh, how could I do that? So what I'm seeing now is that people are really feeling like things are kicking up and I can't escape. And so there's like a feeling of being more stuck than before, and worse, a feeling of being trapped. And so when we feel trapped, we are not our best self. We are going into fight or flight. We are in survival mode. So those kind of old coping mechanisms that are that make us feel bad about ourselves, those old ones we're not proud of, are the ones we're relying on now to get through the day, to show up as a mom and parent our kids. And what we're seeing is like, and hearing, I mean, I don't see it in my group. Like, no one in my group talks about this, but in all the moms groups out there, there's plenty of people posting about how they're just losing their shit right, left, and center. Like, moms are just really blowing up. And I know why. I know there are many, many reasons why. Some are circumstance, not being able to to override your circumstances, and some is I'm just feeling what everyone else is feeling, so I can't separate from the chaos. There are many reasons. Some are I'm trying to do all the things the way I did them before, but with fewer resources and support, and I can't think outside of that space. If I just have to do it right, I just have to keep going. I just have to be perfect. I just have to do all the things, even though I have fewer resources and support. And it's just such a downward spiral. And so where people are yelling at their kids more, taking out frustrations on kids that are our own, because we don't know how to process our own stuff. We're feeling more overwhelmed. We're feeling more isolated. We are feeling like we're not knowing how to accept where we are and what's happening to us right now. There's a lot of resistance about just where we are and what's happening. And it just is, right? It just is what it is. But we're having trouble accepting that because it feels overwhelming and scary. And so there's a lot of energy leaking out and draining toward just fighting what's real right now, like how we feel. And we're just using a lot of energy toward avoidance and toward resistance. And where that worked before, when we were around our kids less or had other coverage, or um, we ever went anywhere, when that worked before, it's just not working anymore. So the old ways of avoidance they just need to collapse. They're collapsing because they must collapse, because they weren't good enough anyway before. And so we want to just say yes and let them collapse. We want to not fight that process. We want to just recognize what's happening. Oh, the old ways are crumbling. Okay, I got it. And that brings up all this fear and uncertainty when you're relying on kind of these survival mechanisms to prop up. So I want to acknowledge, I know it's terrifying. I know uncertainty is not our friend. Most of us don't like uncertainty. I know that people are really, really scared right now, and we feel unanchored and unhinged. I know all of that. I get it. I have felt a few wobbles myself, and my life is changing by the moment these days as well. I'm not immune to this. And at the same time, I've been on this path of self connection, spiritual path, and have worked on anchoring, being an anchor, like anchoring my energy for enough years now that it's habit for me. And so my dominant way of feeling is steady. And I can see and feel that there's a lot of temptation to question that, or to mm, get distracted from that. But this is the time where we need to double down on all of our practices. We need to seek more support. We need to be seeking more guidance. We need to be giving ourselves more love. So we're going to talk about what that looks like. So, um, if you're feeling inner turmoil and anxiety, then of course your kids are feeling that and feeding off of it and picking up on that, which is a horrible thing to say, and something that we never want to look at and acknowledge. But I'm saying it because I would not be in integrity if I didn't say that. Having been a therapist for so long, we are connected, and we don't want to deny that. It's important to notice we are connected. Our kids are connected to us, and what we feel bleeds into them, and vice versa. What they feel, we feel and are exposed to. So we're all impacting each other. And that's important to acknowledge, because often I hear moms go, my kid is off the hook, or they're driving me crazy, or they're just so chaotic, they're so bonkers. And while that may all be totally true, and inarguable, the evidence is there, the piece we forget to do is turn the mirror around and look in the mirror and just really check in with ourselves. But how am I feeling? Because what you'll hear when you ask that question is all the same answers. Well, I'm feeling really chaotic. I feel like I want to have a tantrum all day long. I feel scared. I feel a lack of boundaries and safety. And so if that's what you're seeing in your kids, then with so much compassion and so much gentleness, I encourage you to invite yourself into a dialogue and get curious about what your kids are showing you about what's going on in you. So there's no space for judgment in that, and there's no space for beating ourselves up. We can take responsibility and own our stuff, but we don't want to beat ourselves up about what's going on. That's never helpful. It will hold us back. People often go one way or the other. They blame their kids for being hard, or they blame themselves for not being able to do it better. And both of those are will hold you in the spiral. They will just keep you in the spiral. We want to move out of that spiral, right? So noticing how you feel, feeling worthy of feeling good, and asking for the help you need to make that happen. These are all mandatory skills now. These are all where they may have felt optional before, or like we thought about working on ourselves, but that was just kind of an extra or bonus, and we'll do it down the road. It's becoming mandatory now. It's like it's coming into focus as a thing we can't avoid anymore, because the cost is too high, and we're feeling that the cost is too high for me to continue to try to tiptoe around things that I didn't want to look at before. Is going to cost more now to do that than it did before. So I know a lot of you are feeling that. I know that also, just that idea alone is overwhelming. So if you feel yourself like, oh my God, just take a deep breath on that. We're looking at the truth behind what is creating so much stress. And it's like ripping off a Band-Aid. There's a little bit of like, oh my God, when we first do it, but this is the way through the discomfort, and it is a gift. You have to look at all of this that's happening as a gift, so that you can transcend that feeling of stuckness and move into something else. So, all right. I know that your highest self, your best self, your heart's desires are for peace in your families, are for you to be an anchor, for you to be anchored into calm, into confidence, into certainty that you are the leader that your kids need, that your partners need, and that you're going to be okay no matter what. So I'm speaking to that part of you today, and holding that vision of you as that highest self as we go through this. And it's really important for you to start to do that too now, just building your identity of who you want to be as you expand through this challenge, not who you've been before. Up until now, those coping skills worked, but from now on, I am learning to expand through challenges. This is one of my intentions that I use for myself. And we want to implement those new thoughts and beliefs that feel really empowering right now. So I wrote in the post earlier this week, your mental and emotional health is not a topic to avoid anymore. It's something that is in coming into front and center, because we're always with ourselves and our kids now, and some of us are with our partners full time too, and I am. And so anything that we were able to kind of like just get through on the weekends is now here full time. So we're having to address that. It's a time to be honest with ourselves about what we need and about what we want, and to gain that connection to ourselves to a level that we know that we're worthy of having it. We know that we're worthy of having what we want and what we need, and the universe is here to support our needs in that. So it's a time to get resourceful, to choose to believe in ourselves and our own happiness, and to ask for the help we need. These are all really basic things that women are kind of stink at, and some are better than others, but for the most part, we aren't as strong as we need to be. There's a little catching up still in terms of gender equality, in like knowing what we need, asking for what we need, taking what we need, like getting it, having it, and knowing that we're worthy of that. So, okay, let's dive into the first point. So the first point, just checking to see, I think everyone's in, who's coming, at least for now. So the first point we're going to talk about is the quickest way to move from frustration or anxiety to calm. And this is so important because right now we're finding in survival mode that those feelings are becoming like our neighborhood. Like we're there we're there almost all the time. We're there at least every day, once a day. And that is so taxing to your system. That's so taxing to your immune system will get activated. Excuse me. Your body is going to start talking to you about how this is not what it wants to be doing, is holding all that tension for you. So we want to diffuse that on the emotional plane and on the mental plane before the body turns it into disease, basically into imbalance and into disease. And so many women find me after they've been battling autoimmune disorder for years, and their bodies are so tired, and they're just really in a fight to calm everything down, just in a fight to find any semblance of calm and control over that. And I don't know why this is such a well-kept secret, but I'm so grateful for the training that I had very early on from amazing teachers in how to diffuse a feeling, how to dissolve a feeling. And so we're just going to talk about that for a few minutes. The best way to move from frustration or anxiety to calm, to transmute that energy, is to experience it. And this is something that we don't like to do. Why we avoid our feelings, or why we pretend we're not having them, or why we try to kind of push them out of our awareness. Well, there are many different reasons for that, but mostly it's about that we created those ways of coping and closing our hearts down when we were younger to stay safe. And I know most of you probably already know that. But what we don't know is how to unwind that. And we kind of stay with our heart hardened, this wall over our heart, and this kind of self-protective fear. And because we think that's going to keep us safe, but what it keeps us is anxious. It keeps us stressed and tense. And so the best way to diffuse a feeling is to experience it, meaning to feel it. And I want to just say this in the simplest way so that everybody really gets it. But like, feeling a feeling is not complicated. It's just a matter of saying yes to what is here now, without the story, without making meaning of it, and without judging it. So again, very simple, but what our minds are addicted to is analysis and story and justification and judgment. And we get really attached to all of those things we think are a part of who we are. But a feeling is energy. It's energy moving. It's just energy moving. And so is a thought. A thought form is one kind of energy, and an emotion is another representation of energy. And to move something from the state of constriction, tension, anger, upset, to whatever it really is. So softness might be underneath that. Sadness might be underneath that. To find that place from constriction or tightening to relaxing, which is calm, to get there, you have to be able to open to the feeling. What does that mean? That means softening, taking a breath. It means, in the simplest way, to stay with yourself in that exact moment, to not go anywhere in your thoughts. And the way that we abandon ourselves is to go into thinking. We go into past story. Well, I knew it was going to be like that, or you always do this, or God, why does it always have to be so hard? Or you are driving me crazy, blaming, judgment, or what is wrong with me, blaming, judgment. So we go all these places. And you know what that is? That's just a way of avoiding being with me and honoring how I feel. And so if we want to move beyond that, like that old stuck pattern, it's like the tape is stuck on a the record is the needle is stuck on the record and it just keeps getting hooked in the same place. We'll jump out of the feeling, we get in the habit of that. Instead, what we want to do is be with what's happening and the easiest way to do it is to drop into your body. Drop into your body and see what you're feeling inside your body and expand into that. And when you do, you have to know that you're safe to do that. You have to know you're safe to do that in order to be doing that. So I would love to practice this. So I want to invite you to practice with me. So who's with me? Say yes if you're with me in the chat. And what I want to do is I want to ask you to think of a feeling and just hold it in your mind. What is a feeling that you've been noticing is coming up for you a lot lately? Is something that you're struggling with? Maybe whatever is your tipping point. And drop what that feeling is or that emotion is in the chat. So it might be something like anger or rage or self-loathing or despair, fear, there are so many. Most of them just boil down to fear. But tell me what that is. Drop it in the chat. And then, okay, perfect. So fear, anger, frustration, extreme irritation. Yeah, agitation. That's another one. When you're feeling, it's like that. I'm totally out of control in my experience. The feeling has me. I'm not having the feeling totally has me and it's in charge. I want to say before we sort of do the thing together that those are reactions, right? So irritation, anger, the behavior that comes from that feeling, those are reactions. Those are when we react to what we're feeling, we're in resistance. So do you guys already know this? Am I speaking things that you already know? Tell me. But we are in resistance to your situation. So there's a resistance to accepting a feeling. And make sure you hear me on this. Like, don't mistake what I'm saying as you're not accepting your life as it is, or you have to accept the shitty circumstance. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying accept where you are and just deal with it. What I'm saying is accept how you feel in this moment and let yourself feel some compassion for you, for goodness sake, for all you're holding, right? So let yourself feel that. We react because we're resisting feeling vulnerable. We don't like that, right? We don't like feeling vulnerable. So we'd rather just blame or resent someone else, or we'd rather just dissociate and totally space out, or we would rather withdraw and just go inward and hide. All those things are forms of resistance, and resisting what's really here and what that has to offer us. And the irony is, like, that's the gift. Whatever is inside of here that we're avoiding, that's where the gift is. That's where our gift is. That's a connection to our divine wisdom. That's in there. We want to honor that as guidance. We want to honor that as a beautiful aspect of ourselves, as our higher self trying to talk to us. That's quick notes on what that is. We can cover that in another training, but experience the feeling looks different from reactivity. And most humans don't know how to feel. So in this day and age, most humans don't know how to feel. So there's really just a beautiful art to it and a beautiful science to it. And we can't know how to create safety in our bodies if we can't feel. And so we want to know we need to know, in order to have emotional mastery, we need to know um, how to have ownership over the feeling, to be able to observe our experience and not be owned by it. That's the big distinction there. So, all right. So hold the feeling, hold the energy of that feeling you named in your body. This is yucky. We're going to go to the yuck, but then we're going to move on. So take a breath, tune in. Where do you feel it in your body? And just imagine being in a moment where you are pushed beyond and it's just bubbling up. You're going there. Where do you feel that rising in your body? Might be tightness in the chest or in your throat. You might feel nauseous or have neck pain or a headache. You're going to realize that unconscious feeling is living in your body. So tune into that, take a breath. And when you feel it, when you connect with it, I want you to go inward. I want you to actually just put your hand over your heart. Put your hand over your heart, and I want you to stay with the energy of that feeling. And I want you to just take a breath as you observe it and stay with it. Stay out of your head. And if your mind starts going, drop out of your thoughts and come right back into the body. Breathe. Continue to breathe. Exhale all the way out. Stay with it. Don't leave yourself. Stay with the feeling. Don't think. Don't narrate. Don't go into story or blame or judgment. Just stay in your body with the feeling. Love yourself and care about yourself enough to do that. Take another breath. Big exhale. And tune in now. Check in, do a body scan. When you're ready, you can come back and open your eyes. I have the feeling some children are playing wildly behind me. Can you guys hear it? It's really loud for me. Okay, you can't hear it. Good. So when you do that, and this is we're enacting. This is enactment. It's going to feel different when you're doing it in your real life, but it looks just like that. And you can do that in any moment of parenting, in any moment of relationship conflict, in any time where you can't even stand to be in your body or with yourself. You can take a breath. You can put your hand over your heart. And the hand over your heart is, I'm here. I see you. I feel you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you're thanking yourself for showing up for you. In doing that, you are healing a wound that is so old, of any time that anyone was not able to support you and contain you in what you're feeling throughout your life. You are healing that wound every time that you show up for you and stay with the energy of the emotion. And the science part is that the energy of the emotion metabolizes. It moves on. It does not want to stay and linger in us. Anger, resentment, frustration, they don't want to, the universe is not out to get us. Our bodies are not out to create disease. Our bodies naturally heal. I mean, you can think of, you get a cut, like you don't have to look at it and go heal, heal, heal. Like that stuff just heals. And the same is true with emotions. We allow it. It fizzles, it moves on, it dissipates, it does its thing, but we just have to not stop the flow. Does that make sense? Okay, so this is the natural order of things. We just want to encourage and allow that natural order to happen. And yes, it takes practice. And yes, it takes understanding kind of the bigger picture and how you work as a whole machine. But that is the gist of the mastery that comes when you get how to diffuse and dissolve a feeling in any moment. And when you get good at this with practice, your kids will be so happy. They just get happier. it's not that they become unemotional beings. They still have raw emotion, and they still freak out, and they still all the things, and they want your attention, and they say mommy 5,000 times a day. But there is a shift in us. When there is a shift in us toward calm, toward stability, that rolls out to them. So then it's available to them to ground into. Does that make sense? And I love the comment. I'm just reading Laura's comment. I felt the feeling, and after the breathing, it washed away into calm. And that is how it works. And I'm wondering if this is one of my Laura's. I'm guessing it's an AM Laura. I don't know. I don't see the last name. So, okay. All right. Did you feel it? Did you, were you able to simulate? Were you able to imagine softening into the feeling? Good. Okay. What you may encounter there is like a feeling of just numbness or a block or any of those other things too. You may feel all those, and it's okay. It's okay. It's all a process. Let's shift into the second point. So the second point is how to be okay no matter what's going on around you. And isn't this like, this is just the bomb. This is what we all want. Oh, good. It's Laura B. Hi, Laura B. We want to be able to be calm no matter what is going on. And so to do that, to have that, we need a strong, clear connection to ourselves. And this is, and to ourselves, to the divine, to God, whatever name you have for that oneness, that divine intelligence, our higher power. And when the outside world or other people or your kids throw you off, like when that easily throws you off, or you're just in a constant state of kind of being off balance, it is a sign that you're not anchored in your energy. So a quick diagnostic, if I can see that like what's going on in the world bothers me, then I know my energy isn't anchored in. And if my husband does a thing that like I don't love and I'm irritated by it, then I can tell I'm not anchored in my energy. If it's about him, I'm off. Like I'm not focused. If my kids get to me, then also I'm being sloppy with my energy and my focus. And so those are signs of that. The same is true for any strain in the relationship, like a long-term strain, something that feels like it's causing you a lot of stress. And this may be conflict in your relationship or inequality, or it may be spirited kiddo who really just has you stretched thin. Whatever it is, these are, it's not that they're not happening. Like they're happening, but they're not the cause. They're the reflection or the result of not a brokenness in the relationship, but a reflection or result of a brokenness in our relationship to ourselves. And so I just want to say that again, because it's so big and we know it up here, but to know it in our bodies is different. So if there's a raw spot in our relationship or in our parenting, it is not about that relationship. It is a reflection of something that is a brokenness in a relationship with ourselves. And so that to me is the best news ever. That is, I feel like when I realized that, then I had everything I needed, because I can make all the right choices for me. I can't fix anyone else or change anyone else. That is just such a hopeless pursuit. And it's so frustrating and disempowering to try to work on fixing a relationship. Forget about it. Forget about it. Forget about couples therapy. Honestly, I'm a real and I was a couples therapist for a while there. But forget about trying to heal a relationship by working on the relationship before you've done that inner work yourself. So once we heal that brokenness within us, then our relationships can take on new life. And they most often do, they most often transform in the easiest of ways, without couples therapy, without long talks, without arguments, without having to prove that you're right or convince anyone of anything. The negativity just flushes out, which is a beautiful thing. Okay, so the how do we do that? And this is, I talk about this a lot, and I won't go deep into it now, but how to create that sense of okayness inside of yourself is about developing that relationship with you. And that is the most important work that we have as moms. And it is the well that our kids are going to draw from. And it is the remedy for that habit of moms to put themselves at the back of the pack, to give up on their own dreams because there's just so much going on in front of them. Um, so building that relationship between you and you is may look different for different people. In the way that I work with my clients and the way that I teach in my program is to really think of that as sacred. This relationship between you and you is the most sacred thing you have going, and we want to love on it. We want to develop it. We want to take consistent action. We want to bring structure to it, and create a process that we can depend on, that we can rely on, that's always here for us. So I could say more about that another time, but I don't want to go over our time. I want to move on now to the third point. So, hi, Rhonda. Yes, so true. You know it. Rhonda's got her practices totally dialed in. So, the third point is what lies on the other side of anxiety and overwhelm. So, or exhaustion. I just want to peek back the curtain. Like, I want to show all of you and help you tap into your heart and what your heart wants, to get more clarity about where you're headed and what you're wanting. Because we spend so much time, we're so addicted to the negative and to drama. We spend so much time in the energy of what we don't want. And that's just being human, but we don't have to be there. We don't have to be in that lower brain. We really can create a habit of being in our higher self identity, more than we even think is possible. So, and I'm always stretching myself on this. I'm always trying to stretch a little bit farther, and always pushing my thoughts and feelings, and uncovering things that feel limiting or are low, and flushing them out. It's just a beautiful sifting and sorting process over time that refines and gets more fun and gets easier with time. So a couple things that I jotted down when I thought of, like, what is that? What are the things we're really wanting? One is to have an emotionally healthy family. That one comes up for I know most women and mothers. How do we do that? How do we create an emotionally healthy family? Meaning, I feel loved, and my kids feel loved, and they feel like home is their favorite place in the world, and they love when family is together, and we enjoy our time together. It's easy, it flows. It's not without hiccups, or shouting, occasional shouting, hopefully by kids, not by adults. But in overall, we're in flow. That we're connected as a family, we're in flow. We know how to express our feelings. We know how to work through conflict. We know how to get back to calm and connected to ourselves. So as moms, this looks like kindness, loving boundaries, not joining the upset when it happens. How big is that? Not to join in. And this is a huge problem for mothers these days, is thinking that we need to just fix whatever bad feeling anyone's having, or that it's something that's not okay, or if it's going to set us off, so it just needs to stop, kind of thing. And that's so detrimental to our health, but we have to work on our health first before we can totally be okay with everyone else just having their experience and having their feelings and letting them run through. And we can get there. We can get to that point. So it looks like being okay no matter the circumstance. So What is that? It's a stable connection to our own energy. It is enjoying being with me, with ourselves. It's you enjoying being with you, like loving that time of diving deep into your heart's desires, your vision for your life, just enjoying relaxing, resting, enjoying being hanging out with you, and the same with your kids. So um, that flows into family. That creates a calm family. When you're okay, no matter what inside of you, that creates a calm family, because kids will look at you and go, oh, I guess if you're not okay, they go, I guess it's not safe here. And if you're okay, they go, I guess we're okay. They believe whatever we show them. That is their reality. They just believe it and swallow it whole, which is why we need to show them what we mean to be showing them about life. You are safe here and you are loved, and life is a safe place to be. We are no longer in fight or flight mode when we're free of anxiety and exhaustion and overwhelm. We're out of fight or flight mode. We have broken that cycle. Our bodies know how to relax, and we can teach them that. We can teach our bodies and our nervous system in connection with our mind, heart, and spirit how to chill out, how to relax. We can teach our bodies and minds how to know that we're safe. How awesome is that? Most of us don't know that we feel unsafe most of the time. We just know we feel angry, but anger is that sign of unsafety. And we may not equate it that way, but that's what the body is thinking, like, oh my God, I can't be here. I can't do it. Get me out of here. That feeling. And that's feeling not safe. So we have to rewrite that. We have to rewrite that for ourselves and our bodies. These are all here for you. Like these feelings I'm describing, these ways of being in your body, in your life, they are all available to every one of us. And we have a choice about whether we want to live those or whether we want to stay where we are. Because if we don't change something in a big enough way, then we will ultimately kind of resume this place that we're in now. So coronavirus will pass, and then the next crisis will come, and life will keep happening, and oh my goodness, we'll be in this space again. So these different ways of like being okay no matter what. So the unconditional okay. Being able to be calm in your body, enjoying your kids, having fun. Those are all forms of freedom, and they're freedom from limiting beliefs. They're freedom from the past. We talked about that last week. Freedom from the past, freedom from stories that we've bought into that really aren't aligned with our highest truth. They are freedom from other people's beliefs that have been put on us, free from societal expectations, free from our own fear, that primal fear place that we go, or anger, free from resistance. That's so delicious. When we're free from resistance, we are connected to our vitality. There's just a steady flow of energy and calm, but steady flow of energy. Like we're not getting drained. And we're free from traumatizing wounds. We can free ourselves from those so that they're not dominating our story and they're not controlling us, but we're in ownership. We're choosing how we feel. We're in ownership of that because we've released that junk. We've released the stuckness and the obstacles. Okay. Is this making sense? Are you still with me? Give me a yes. Give me a nod. Okay. Hi, Ellen. I see you. Thank you. All right. So everybody, of course, wants to feel good. I have a core belief that I've had since I went to graduate school when I was 30, which is now a really long time ago, that says everybody's doing the best that they can in general. Everyone is doing the best that they know how to do with what they've been given. And at first, that can be a tough pill to swallow. But when you really wrap your head around that, everybody in general, and it's true. If you start looking for evidence of this, it's true. Everyone in general, we are all doing the best we know how to do with what we've been given. And some people really weren't given that much to work with. Some of us had a lot of trauma growing up. Some of us had models who did not love themselves at all. And they loved us. They did all the right things in terms of providing for us, but they didn't love themselves. And there's that big missing piece of, how do I do that? How do I get that? How do I learn how to love me when I just have never felt it before? I don't know what true worthiness is. I don't know how to find it outside. If I have to find it in here, but I don't know how. Where's the map? And everybody wants to do better. Everybody wants to feel good, um, and and also everything that we are doing is striving for that, like the good, the bad, and the ugly. Everything we're doing is to feel better, and also everything we want is because we think it will make us feel better. And so I'm saying that to acknowledge that, to say, I'm just sending out so much love to everybody doing their best. We're all doing our best. And at the same time, so we're always striving. And at the same time, the way that most of us are doing the striving is small scale striving, or adjusting, or attempts, or fixing. Small scale, like, and this, I'll use an example from an alumni call. Someone said recently, an alumni, a graduate of Awakened Motherhood, my program, said recently, with all the coronavirus stuff going on, that I forget how it was worded. We were talking about tuning in and getting connected, and she was feeling ungrounded, which is really normal to feel that right now. But I was saying, what's missing, and the language around the connecting with me and staying tuned in sounded like, well, I'm just, I'm taking that time for me wherever can get it. And that, to me, like a big flashing light went off in my head. And I thought, how often are we doing that? It's one of those ways that we're putting ourselves last. And it's so sneaky, because I was like, well, I am taking the time for me, but just wherever I can get it. So within that, we want to catch ourselves and go, is that going to create any real change? For me to take a scrap of 5 minutes when I can get it, is that going to create real change? Or do I need to be more deliberate and intentional about me, about what I need, about asking for that? And within that, there's a lot of skill building. So I wouldn't expect you to just get it, if you going from 0 to 60 overnight, but there's a lot of skill building in there. But for most of the human race, one thing I can notice is that we're doing these little micro adjustments, or we're taking the scraps. As moms, we're really guilty of this. I'll just take the leftovers. I mean, even to the point of, like, literally with food, like, I don't want to make food for me. I'll just eat what's left over on their plates. Like, gross. I've done that too. Gross, right? Like, then I can just save myself the time but then what happens? You're hungry and you're in the chips and the chocolate. It just doesn't go well forever. So there's a real miss in being deliberate and intentional in that kind of pattern. So we want to notice and call ourselves out on those patterns. And because what they don't work. They create the illusion of temporary relief, often not even real relief, because real relief comes from really standing for ourselves and from taking action that's so loving and compassionate. So an example would be when you're under stress, you call a friend and you talk things through with that friend, but you talk about what's not working. And so afterwards, you think that was a good thing to do, but you feel drained. Or you go to therapy for a year, 2 weekly sessions, and you build insight, but there's and it seems to be a good, healthy thing to do. But you just have to step back and go, is this really creating concrete change in my life? And is it what's working for me? And maybe it is. And if it is, you're in the right place. But if you're still feeling anxiety or pervasive or overwhelm, or boiling over in frustration, then there's definitely more of a calling from your higher self that you can do something more. And usually the answer is, where are you ignoring that nudge, that inner voice? What are you not listening to that you know that you really should be doing right now? And so I just wrote the question, like, why don't we take bigger action? Why do we put ourselves last? And really the I wrote a few of the biggest sort of excuses that we use that I hear a lot, and that I've used myself for sure in the past. One of them is like, I don't have time to take on anything new. I don't have time to rearrange how I do things or to take new action. I don't have time for it or energy for it. Also, sometimes people will say, and used to be hugely guilty of this, I don't want to spend the money on me. Like, ugh, me. Like, and that was really before I learned to love myself and value my own experience and how I feel. But we just go, it's annoying to have to deal with me, with myself. And the real thing underneath that, because it isn't really those reasons, that's consciously how we think about it. But the real thing under that is, I'm scared of what happens if I change. Or what if I don't change? What if I take new steps and do new things and put energy and time or money into me and I don't actually experience relief? Or what if I'm beyond help? Sometimes people will feel that way. Um, and there's also a real fear of, well, what happens when things kind of reorganize in my life? Like, what does that mean for my marriage? Or what does that mean for my kids? Or I'm just afraid of kind of not knowing what that's going to look like. And it's so normal. And I want to name it because that is the crystal clear voice of fear. It's exactly what fear sounds like. Fear is totally sneaky. It's totally inaccurate. It's inaccurate representation of the truth. It is not the way that your higher self is guiding you. And you got to know the difference. And I'm going to teach you the way to discern. So if you've worked with me before, you know this, but then this will be a reminder for you. But you can tell the difference between what is coming from fear and what is sort of, well, let me say it another way. You can tell the difference between, or you can discern between, like, what's good for you and what's not good for you. So what's not good for you, what's limiting, would be fear-based, and what's good for you is coming from your higher self or God, or your inner wisdom. And we can get really good at discerning the difference between the two. And the way to do that, the very simple way, again, back to the body, is if I have a thought or I have a feeling and it creates constriction in me, or I notice I stopped breathing. I can't breathe right now. Or it causes a shift in mood to irritation. If that happens, then you know that you are flowing attention to fear, a fear-based thought. If the feeling or thought creates energy, if you feel energized as a result of it, if you feel excited, or it's usually an up energy like that, or you might feel really relaxed as a result of it. Pay attention to those subtleties, because that is your guidance system. And one will cause you to feel constricted and one will cause you to feel expansive. And you can know and start to suss out, where's my head leading me in the dark woods over here about this, and how do I feel? And is that the direction? Then you have an empowered decision. Do I want to keep doing that? Or do I want to do something else? Right? And then you have that option. So the question is, does this awaken and energize me, or does it drain my energy? And anything that creates a drain in your energy is going to be a no, unless you're not ready to start loving on yourself. But I know if you're here, you are ready for that. So anything that creates a drain in your energy, irritation, anger, whatever have you, recognize it, interrupt the pattern, and say, not for me. That's not for me. And that's the end of that's the final point. That's the end of the third point, is that discernment. So do you have it? Did you get it? Do you need me to do a quick recap? You guys tell me in the chat box. Doing these simple things is going to help you to start to skill build so that you can access a part of you that knows what's up, a part of you that has a larger perspective, a part of you that's here to support you. It's a way to resource and connect in with God consciousness, with what is here to support and stabilize you, and whatever spiritual support is here. So in order to do that, we really have to start getting in touch with the truth of who we are. And we have to start valuing that and seeing ourselves in a higher light, which is something that I teach my clients in Awakened Motherhood. So I'll do a quick recap, and then you guys ask questions too. Drop them in the chat if you have any question, any comment. Okay, yes. Awesome, Ellen. So the first point is the quickest way to move the frustration and hard feelings to calm. Remember, it's tune in, it's feel it, it's allow it, is be with you. Don't abandon you. Be with you. We're rewriting history when we do that. Every time we do it, we're building a new muscle. We're diffusing negativity. We are saying, I allow it to move on. And it does. You just have to take my word for it until you get good at practicing that. The second point was how to be okay no matter what's going on around you, how to have that just eternal okayness, that stability, anchoring your energy down in. And we talked about the key of that is building that sense of safety within you and your relationship with you. Last point is what lies on the other side of anxiety, exhaustion, overwhelm, and that just sort of quick synopsis of that is emotionally healthy family. So feeling true connection with your loved ones, and knowing that you're doing a damn good job and owning that. Feeling okay no matter what's going on around you, and your kids picking up on that as well and making it their truth. And all that comes when we get that sense of feeling at home within ourselves and our bodies and living from the heart, being connected to our heart center. So let me see if there's any. Okay, cool. Let's see. How can I better discern energizing energy that's chaotic from the good kind? I often feel really energized by anxiety and anger. That's a great question, Jordan. So the quality of what you're feeling, you're going to get really good soon at being able to discern the subtleties in your, it's called the subtle body. If you've done somatic work, it's the subtle body. It's where that awareness lives that knows the difference. But we have to quiet down the whole system before we can access that. So it makes sense if it feels off limits. It makes sense right now, and it's okay. You just want to, a quick answer for that would be that amping up energy that feels like excitement is probably also going to feel like tension in your muscles, or tightness, or like a clenching. And so that might be one way, but you may have other signs. Just start to get curious and notice when you're getting amped up, what's your body doing? Just take a scan and see, what's my body doing right now? Are my feet on the ground, or am I just out of my body right now? Or is my breathing accelerated? Am I focusing on everyone else and not on me? So just start to kind of notice and track these things. It's a great question. And then the other kind of energizing that I was talking about is usually more like pure joy or excitement. It might be silliness, it might be laughter, it might be dance party. I was really in the groove last night. I just cranked up the music when I'm starting to be like, okay, got to get the kids, I'll crank up the Spotify, and we had it on, and I was just I had meditated. I was just feeling good and going with the flow. And I was going to replace the dish towel that had gotten really disgusting. Apparently no one can see this but me. And so I was like, another disgusting dish towel to the thing and hanging up the new one. And then I just was in such a fun vibe, and I started dancing with it. And then pretty soon we had the most exciting, competitive, high energy, all out family war of a game that we made up together, which my 6-year-old called dish towel tag. And it was like dish towel dance party tag, and whoever got so dancing with the dish towel, and then tagging each other, and whoever then would get tagged with the dish towel would take the dish towel and then dance and chase other people around the room. And we did this for like, I almost threw up. I worked it was like the hardest workout I've gotten in a really long time. I had to sit out because I thought I was going to puke. And that place of like where those ideas live and are available, that's not like me being creative. I mean, that's not like I'm super creative or I'm so fun or that's just my temperament or I can't claim any of that. I will say that's a direct result of me doing the daily work to release the kind of resistance and the holding, and that just be in the here and now and resource within me and my connection to God, and stay open. Just being able to stay open while my energy is grounded means I just have this direct channel open and I'm available for those really fun, spontaneous ideas. And that's that kind of upward energy that I was talking about, where things feel fun. We actually like, I want to do them. And there definitely have been whole years of my life where that would be drudgery to get up and play. Like I just wasn't available for it when I wasn't doing the work that I'm doing now. But now the work is to love on me. And there's just an overflow of that spills over into kids and into family and into partnership. So it's a beautiful thing. And I just want that for every mom. That's my mission. I just want for every mom to be able to be so in their bliss and for their kids to feel so loved and so accepted and so cherished that we play because we want to. And we get silly because it's fun for us, because it feeds our souls, not as a favor to our kids, but because we love to have fun. And it's amazing to have fun with our own families that we chose and we called in and we created. It's just the biggest blessing that there is. And it's also a huge blessing to invest in ourselves and to be not focused on kids, but to be focused on nurturing ourselves and expanding as humans, and not just in service all the time to others, but in service to our dream and our vision. You know, it's when mothering is fun, when motherhood is fun, it's fun because we are getting something out of it, not because we're martyring ourselves to others. That's no fun at all. And I've been there too, and have closed that contract years ago. I'm not going back. That day is done for me. So we can decide, we can decide, and we can set our sights on the energy that we want to bring into our everyday. And we have the power to do that. We have the power to do it. And if we have the commitment to do it, then there's nothing that can stop us. So I want to say to any of you who, thank you all so much for joining. And I just love seeing your faces. Thank you for being on the camera. I want to say to any of you who are at a point where you're ready for this, you're doing the work and you're ready for this, and you're doing some of it maybe piecemeal, but the piece you're missing is the step-by-step content, the container, the hand-holding, the mentoring, and the love, which is something that this is the reason why Awakened Motherhood works the way it does. It's the whole package. And so the support is there, the immersion, the immersive experience is there. And it's the momentum that supports people and sustains people as they move through and create these changes. So two things. One, if you're listening today and you think this is so awesome and I'm just somewhere starting my journey and I want to know more, you can reach out to me about that. And definitely I'm so happy to answer questions, follow-up questions, or you can post them in the Consciously Creative Motherhood group. So happy to support you there and just help you to deepen your path and your journey and your practice. If you are on the contrary, you already know that you don't want to stay feeling like you feel now. You are ready for more, and you're ready to explore and want to see if what I do with women will be right for you, then reach out. And I'm so happy to have that conversation with you. And we can talk more about what it would look like. And I just love you all so much. I want to help. So however I can help, hit me up. And And let me know if you have any questions now here at the end. And otherwise, then have remembered to hit the record button so I can send out a recording to all of you and anybody who missed it too. You guys have any last comments or any questions for me? Was it helpful? Um, was it supportive, inspiring, encouraging? I hope. Yeah, you're so welcome. I'm so glad you all made time to join. It's quite funny. I put a late day time because I thought I'd just change it up and see from last time. We did it like at noon last time, and I think Ellen, you were on? Weren't you? There were like 40 people there last time when I logged in, waiting. Oh, you weren't there? I was like, holy cow, this is so exciting! And it was like a program of it was like an alumni call, and apparently everyone's doing dinner and bed and all the things. So love you all for showing up. Thanks for being with me. And I hope it was helpful. Good. I'm glad, Stacy. I'm glad it was helpful. And hi, Jenny. I'm so glad to see you and see your face there. I'm so glad you're here. Awesome. So there'll be a recording for whatever parts you missed, and hopefully Zoom didn't give you too tough of a time. But lots of love to all of you. Be sure to connect with me, reach out, ask me whatever you want to ask me, and I'll see you guys soon. Okay. Have a beautiful night. Bye, everyone.